So I came into sociology quite late. I actually did an undergrad in lots of different things. I changed my major every 6 months. Don't know how I still managed to graduate. No idea what I wanted to do. And so it wasn't until I had been working for a number of years and ended up enrolling part-time in a master's of communication, of all things, and then became really interested in a lot of the theory behind communication and development, and then found myself slowly moving more and more into, I guess, sociology theory without meaning to. So the things that I became really interested in around society and inequality, dependency theory, those kinds of things overlapped quite a lot with sociology. And so that's sort of how I ended up finding a love for it at the same time as a love for research. Both intersected and kind of have been around ever since.
And did you consider a career outside of academia?
Yeah, so I spent the first, academia is probably my fourth career, I'd say. So when I was younger, I spent quite a bit of time in the hospitality, retail sector, working there, worked as a nanny in childcare for a number of years, and then in media and publishing, and thought I wanted to be a journalist, was very set on that. Then the GFC happened and all the journalists were fired. And I found myself increasingly at odds with the newspaper that I worked at. So then I switched more into kind of publishing, started working for development publishing, Oxfam publishing, working in that space. And so then gradually kind of moved, and again, just coincidentally, doing my master's, fell in love with research, stepped away again from academia for a little while after my first master's, just to make sure that it was something I really wanted to do. And then came back, worked a little bit more as a research officer, and then fell in love with teaching as well as the research, writing, reading. It's where I'm happy.
Do you think sociologists benefit from spending time in non-academic settings?
I think it can be really tricky because many sociologists don't actually come from straight sociology. So there's very few people I meet in sociology who do start, go straight from high school to university, undergrad in sociology, honours, and kind of stay in that space. Most come from perhaps another discipline. One of the best things about sociology is that it's such a welcoming space. It doesn't really matter what your degree is in. You can still be part of TASA, you can still be part of the networks. And so I think it's quite common for people in sociology to have spent time in other careers and outside of academia. But I think there's benefits to both. I think there's strengths being within the academy, but also being applied.
My final question is sort of, what advice would you give a young sociologist, perhaps, they've just finished their undergrad, like what advice could you give the sociologists of the future?
Oh, can I twist that slightly and have two different bits of advice? One is I think everyone should do sociology. I actually think there's a way of thinking. Sociology teaches you to think and see the world in a particular critical way that other degrees don't always do. If you're doing a biomedical science degree, for example, there's a particular ontology that is taught all the way through that, and you don't get the opportunity to be able to see other viewpoints. So I think everyone should do some kind of sociology. But I also think for sociologists of the future is just be curious and remember what's driving you behind it. Think of what is it that makes you curious? What is it you want to know? And academia may not be the best place to do that. Doesn't mean it's not valuable work. So there's valuable work you can do no matter where you are. And sociology is a way of critically engaging with the world.